Or can you see the email I'm showing? No? Let me see here. There you go. So if you see there, number 4, this is Friday, 201 East Plum, via San Luis from 9 to 4. He's got 132 residents to vaccinate. They're pre-registered. It's not a drive-through. They're residents of that community. And so you guys would show up and, you know, inject. Predominantly, I think that's where he needs a lot of the help. All the supportive personnel usually does registration and orienting the participants or the elderly as to, you know, what they need to fill out or whatever paperwork. Most of it's pre-registered, so it's not as bulky or a difficult process that it was through the drive-throughs and whatnot. And they're still working through those throughout the city. So if you guys get a chance, let me know that you're going to attend. Mr. Soto would love to have you guys there.
And these do count as clinical hours. So
yes,
you're banking hours for clinical.
So Tracy's asking if we have a LC agreement with them. Them would be the community, and I don't know that we do. But as volunteers and as professionals, he would love to have your company or your assistance. So if you decide to go, let us know.
And who's them? By who do we mean by them? Like the
Tracy, you mean the facility?
Paramedics?
Or the
like
EMS?
the EMS?
I mean, like for the students, because we were thinking of taking the VN students as well. I was just checking to see if we have an agreement.
I know Ms. Guidry's taking the ADN. Is that right, Jose Luis?
Yes, Ms. Guidry's taking a handful of ADNs. And I think Adrian was going to communicate with Mr. Soto. Right now, I had sent him the contact information. So they were going to talk today to get it squared off by Thursday. And then hopefully you guys would be able to attend. But I think if there's nothing, we can quickly get it expanded and address those issues, Tracy. But he is going to have other ones throughout the community. He's basically just doing the elderly residents. And from our previous vaccinations, he has done Lulac Haven already, Father Ed Kirshner residence facilities, that Tanis Valdez village he did today, I believe. And on Friday, he's doing that via San Luis at 201 East Plum. So these are ours. Also, don't forget, if those of you that have not registered for the NURS talks, has anyone not registered or needs the link? If you remember, I know Mo is leading one of those, I guess, meetings or the groups for the hospital. So if you need the link, let us know, let Mo know. You can register for the NURS talks, which is tomorrow at 6 p.m. And I put it on the announcement there. So it's the announcement after this one in our class. You register, attend the NURS talks and document your hours. So you're already getting some hours for clinical time. All right.
And then Tracy, the city one that was for this Saturday was canceled. Did they mention it about rescheduling it?
They really didn't mention anything particularly about coming back with us. It may not ever happen, but as far as the college goes, they do want to be prepared in case they do ask us to participate.
And was it because there weren't enough or they didn't get the COVID vaccines that they were expecting to get?
I don't think they ever got a straight answer.
Oh, okay.
On that, because it was canceled and then it was back on and then it was canceled, and they were a little bit confused, I think, when they left the meeting today. I didn't get to attend it because I had class, but they're just unsure.
Okay. So just again, as these things come up, and we'll let you all know there's an opportunity for clinical hours. Like if you are free, we definitely encourage you to jump on them, because then you're going to be, I mean, depending on where we are over the summer, we may not have any on-site clinicals or very minimal on-site clinicals. So you're going to be struggling to get those hours in at the very last semester. And typically the program doesn't allow us to bank hours, but because of the pandemic, the Texas Board of Nursing and our accreditation agencies are being lenient with all the programs. This is for the VN, the ADN, and our BSN. They're letting us bank hours now for the summer clinical. But typically you can only do your 96 hours over the summer. So you all are being allowed to start now. And that's why we encourage you, when something comes up, jump on it. Because if not, you're gonna have to do 96 hours of clinicals over the summer. So keep that in mind, okay? So yeah, like when Mr. Santos mentions the vaccines clinic, if you're free, like that's, you know, what, how many hours are they there?
They could be anywhere from 4 to 6. I know there's Mr. Molina. Yes, Mr. Molina. I know he and JL, they had Jose at that vaccine drive-in, so they can document those. And Jose, yeah, oh my God, it's Jose. And we realize, you know, you guys have a lot of things burning. All of you guys are frontline providers. You guys are really busy. You got families, you know, things of that sort. So we get it if, you know, you're looking for a respite or a break from the things that you're doing. But and maybe struggling, as Ms. Jimenez said, isn't necessarily the word, but you may be a little pressed to find webinars and things of that sort. But yes, absolutely. If you get a chance, let us know. You can attend even for a few hours. Your help would be greatly appreciated in the community. Oh wait, Nancy just posted something. Let me see here. Who's asking for help? Nancy, you're gonna have to speak up because. Oh yeah, so Nancy just gave us a post that said the city health department is also in communication with the Red Emergency Room. The city will receive help from remote area medical staff. So if you want to help, and we'll contact Rona. We'll contact other people to see if we can get our services out there. If you guys are willing to do some of those things, you're not obligated. Of course, these are voluntary, but we would. And Ms. Jimenez and I try to get out there. I've been trying to help Mr. Soto as much as possible. So please keep that in mind. Or if you all hear of anything that's coming up, or if you yourselves are going to do something and you want to see if the BSN students can assist you or whatnot, please let us know. But by all means, let's try to get some of these hours done as effortlessly as possible. Anyone have any issues with the, I know we were having some issues with registration, but we got everybody block registered. It always seems to kind of be a chaotic process during the break. But I think the only one that mentioned to me like, hey, we're gonna get registered was Mary. So I'm assuming the rest of you guys were like, ooh, it's okay. Whenever the registers, it'll be fine. But Mary was the one, thank you, Mary, for shooting that out to us about registering the group. And we'll try to do it ahead of time, especially for the summer courses, so we won't have these issues. But just the life and times of being a student at this time, I know they're difficult. With us. Let me hold on. So no one has any questions so far? I like this group, Marisa. They're going with the flow. All right. Here we go. All right, so you guys can see my desktop there. And this is our home screen for our 4433 course, which is Research 2, Quality Healthcare and Best Practices. This is a continuation of what you had in Research 1, but now what we're going to do is build your body of evidence on research evidence tables, interpretation of those. We're gonna do a literature review, a thorough process. It does take a little bit of time. I would ask you guys to, organize your thoughts, get your articles together. We're gonna put them on evidence tables and evaluate them from a 2-week process to another week process and start writing up our body, our literature review, so we can kind of get a solid evidence-based argument behind our research projects and make sure that we are moving along that process. Now, if some of you guys have not already finalized a PICO question, make sure you reach out to Ms. Jimenez or myself so we can have those. I know some of you guys had. I know some of you guys, your PICO question changes depending on the assignment a little bit. But now let me just stress to you, for every assignment that is asking you for your body, we will tell you, choose the same exact PICO question from your previous project, from your previous assignment. So we need to make sure that we use the exact same wording, the exact same PICO that's been approved by your mentor, Ms. Jimenez or myself. And then we'll tackle the assignments as that comes along. There are very few things that we will do, discussion boards and things of that sort, that don't require the use of previous P-code information or studies. And those will be discussion boards and smaller assignments like that. But the larger assignments all revolve around your PICO question and your projects. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Hopefully we didn't have any issues getting articles from the library from the last semester. Did anyone have any issues with that or access to the articles? It was all functioning well. I really didn't hear too much. Maybe the requested articles may have taken a little bit, but again, we do have the contacts for Ms. Rodriguez and the other young lady, I forgot her name. And if you send them directly an email, they should be able to help you with getting your articles from borrowing libraries from neighboring libraries or participating libraries. All right, so we'll go to our syllabus for 4433. download this guy. Has anyone seen our new, well, I know Nancy and Tracy have, been to our new Allied Health Sciences building in the South? No one's been there. So those visitations and whatnot are taking a little bit. We don't have any actual classes scheduled there. We are going to have, oh, Marisa, you want to mention the credentialing visit we have on February the 16th?
February the 16th, which is a Tuesday, is actually that whole entire week our accreditation visitors, or they actually won't be here because we're doing a virtual site visit, but they will be closely looking into the program. So it's 4 days of intensive, like they're scrutinizing everything, all our files, all our, they're going to talk to our supportive services like the library, they're going to talk to financial aid, registrars, they're going to talk to the students. And so we've set up 2 hours, it's from 12 to 2 on February the 16th, which is a Tuesday. We're asking that you come to the health science building. And of course, we have very strict COVID guidelines. We take temperatures. We have you all sign COVID questionnaires. You have to maintain social distancing. You have to wear your mask. We will be meeting in one of the largest classrooms we have. So we will make sure that we sit you all at least 6 feet apart. If not, the room is big enough to where you all can easily spread out. So we will do kind of like Zoom, but we use, what's the format we use? What's these?
GoToMeeting.
GoToMeeting. So you'll get to, virtually meet with the site visitors, and they're going to ask you questions about the program, about the resources that you all have, how you've, you all have been able to continue, during the pandemic, and how we've been able to fill your, I guess, needs. And so we did invite our graduates as well. We invited you all and our graduates. The more students we have, the better. We do ask that if it's possible that you all make plans to attend. Keep in mind that our accreditation is dependent on this visit. So if you all don't go, then we're not gonna have any students, and I would look poorly on our program. So we are going to have an option for you all to be able to log into GoToMeetings from wherever you are. So if you're at work and you can get out for that amount of time, or even for a small amount of time, you'll get the option to be able to log in from wherever you are. But we do ask that if you can, to actually make it to the building. We will have an IT tech support guy in case there's any connection issues. He'll be able to I guess, troubleshoot all that. So if you're by yourself at work or at home or whatever, and you can't log in, there will be nobody to help, and you may miss out on that opportunity. So we do ask that, that you all please make every effort to be there from 12 to 2. And it may not even take that long, but they do want to allot that time for questions. Okay. So
Mr.
February 16th.
And maybe Tracy and Nancy can help us out with this. Mr. Bonilla is asking if the study rooms open to use right now, and I think that they're really limiting the visitors to the building. I couldn't absolutely tell you yes or no, but I think I hadn't. Do any of your students go, Tracy? Nancy?
No, we're not allowing any students to go to any study room or anything within the building.
Okay.
So they have to be there for a clinical simulation or skills class.
Now, the new building doesn't have any computers though. The new building is set up to where you have to bring your own electronic device. So there's no, I know that in the Lopez Nursing Building, I had a computer lab. In the new nursing building, there is no computer lab. There is study rooms, but just for future purposes, there's no computer. So you always have to bring your own electronic device. Now, the libraries, again, right now, both libraries are closed, but the libraries do have computer labs. So if you ever needed a computer, even to print, to do your searches, once the libraries are open, by all means, those are services that are available to you all. Okay. It says maybe we use this. Okay. Well, again, I don't know about the study rooms yet. It looks like at this point they're not open yet. I know he's asking about the study rooms. Okay. What else? I guess also, Jose Luis, the immunization records, we do need to pick up. We are going to ask for copies of your immunization records. We don't ask for you all, at least anyways, a drug test or a physical or a background check, as long as you all are currently employed. But we do need copies of your immunization records. So if you can get that from Human Resources at your employee health, and send those over to Mr. Santos and I, because we will need that, since some of you are already doing on-site, clinical hours. We do need those as soon as possible. Jose Luis, do you want to give them a cutoff for those immunization records?
Now? No, there should be, there's no spring chickens in this group, so you guys should have already been your HEPs, the COVID is not a requirement, so if you haven't or chosen not to, we realize. But like a TB, you guys should get a current TB from work all the time. Your flus, absolutely. And the rest are probably going to be ancient. I know moles are probably on animal skins and stuff like that. But, as long as we get, send us a PDF of them, or you scan them, send them to us, let us know as soon as, if you have them handy, send them over. But the sooner the better would be great.
Now, I know that if we schedule a time to meet face-to-face, I'm pretty sure we can arrange like a class meeting face-to-face. I know that's something Dr. Miller had said, since this group is small enough, because they're asking if the building is closed. I know you can't just like walk in on your own, but if you have class, that's a different story. I don't know, it's because I know they're asking if the building is open or closed. But at this point, it is closed. You can't just walk in. Okay. Anything else you want to take?
It gets hard to go between text and word. You guys can speak, right? I'm just saying. You guys can say something. I'm like, Mr. Molina. All right. Anybody else have any other pressing questions, comments, rude gestures? Anyone? No? Excellent. All right. So, yes.
During the break, I tried doing some of the ATI courses, but they're, and I even tried lately, it's about 4 courses that in the middle of the course, it just freezes, it doesn't let you advance. So I'm not sure if anyone else attempted to advance into them, but it's not allowing me to complete them. It's right like in the middle of the courses, and it just, and I've tried, several times, so I'm not sure how, I've refreshed and pretty much done a little bit of everything, and it doesn't allow me to advance. It's like 4 courses.
Do you remember which ones they were, Murray?
One was on patient safety, and I think the other one is on, there's about 4 of them. I can look into my transcript and send you whatever I have in progress, that it doesn't, and it's in the same, and on the same section, it won't just, and it won't advance.
Like patient satisfaction, this one, the ones for this course, you think?
I haven't really seen but some of the ones that I see due, it's a few that I've tried. I just kind of went down the list because I wanted to complete them, but it was like about 4 that I'm not able to advance.
Okay, I guess we'll look into it.
The module, Mary, or were you in the test? Because that happened.
No, well, I didn't advance to the test because I'm not able to finish the course.
That happened to me, but it was in a test. It wouldn't let me submit my test.
No, this is the course. I didn't attempt the test because I didn't want to go through the test, and it's going to seem that I didn't finish the course. And it's about 4 of them.
Did anyone else have this issue? David, were you working on the assignments during the break?
Nobody else worked on the assignments during the break.
Nobody else did. Everybody's like, I don't know what she's talking about. It worked fine for me. I don't know.
I
did the.
I needed to move forward.
I did the first one today. I did the whole course. I haven't done the test yet.
Which one was the course that ¿cuál hiciste, David?
The issues and strategies.
No, I think that one it allowed me, and the human resources allowed me to finish 2. It was the other 4.
We'll look into it to make sure that they can.
Okay. Screenshot, of the ones that I didn't attempt anymore because I was like, no, I don't know if there was an issue. I thought they were doing maybe some maintenance or anything, but then I tried. A few days later, I even tried the day before yesterday, and it's in the same area where I try to move forward, and it just won't allow me to continue. So I'll send you of the ones that I was not able to move.
I
You
know
might
that-
have to switch between browsers because I noticed that when I switch between browsers, just the way it looks, it'll look differently in different browsers.
And I did, I did it on Google and then I tried on the other, I did it like on 3 different ones. So
there's a number you can call and you'll get the representative, and they usually are really good about troubleshooting.
oh, okay, can you share that with us?
Yeah, it's, yes,
Is it-
I'll find it.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else? Well, thank you, Mary. All right, so let's go through our syllabus for 4433. This is our textbook. We've already got this book, 4th edition, evidence-based practice in nursing. Here's our contact information. Here's our ISBN. We're still using the articles that we used in Research 1. And our APA, of course, has everyone pretty much figured out APA, second nature? We all got it. I know some of you guys took to it like fish in water. Some of you guys took to it like a rock in water, but we'll get through it. So we're working on APA all the time. Remember when we write, it's always in APA. Make sure that we write properly all the time, our abbreviations, our adjectives, proper names and things of that sort. We'll get it once again, our end of course outcomes. They're all similar from course to course and they all have a objectives to them. We want to plan nursing care utilizing research findings, which is the purpose of the course. Apply teaching plans that utilize research findings to implement evidence-based practice. Now, I know we may think about teaching plans as we did with the nursing care plans, and this is in essence a community healthcare plan. So our plans, especially for our projects, are more so to be able to predict common teaching objectives and then see what the responses from the community are going to be. And that's what we mean by teaching plans. But we always want to utilize research findings to implement our evidence-based practices. Utilize evidence-based practice research findings to illustrate leadership and advocacy. Evaluate cost effectiveness of evidence-based research findings. Now more than ever, I will give you an example for myself. As being a provider, I kind of could see the cost of what the visit was and what the billing was and what insurances covered and what we were reimbursed and things of that sort. But now with COVID testing, COVID vaccines, COVID in and of itself has changed the whole spectrum and land of reimbursement, financial costs, and things of this sort. So if we take an example as to our vaccine drives, they're huge, huge endeavors by professionals with time-consuming events, safety, resources, things of this sort. But most of it is non-refundable. I know as I talked to some other healthcare providers in the hospital and you guys in the front lines, realize that there's a lot of care being given, but it's non-revenue generating. And so these costs still have to be allocated and to make sure that we're able to, I guess, appropriately budget. We still have, even if it's a lost financial sum, we still have to allot for it. You guys can't see my syllabus? Oh, all right, hold on. What can you see? Just me?
It was just not the actual syllabus, the open document. It was just that syllabus page on Canvas.
Oh, good. All right, hold on. They told me half an hour ago. All right.
There you go. Now we can see it.
All right. So explain nursing care outcomes, responses to therapeutic interventions, assess the healthcare needs of patients, families, and populations and communities using a variety of informatics, and compare comprehensive solutions to actual and potential unsafe practices utilizing research findings. So the objectives of our course and of our projects should take all these things into consideration so that we're able to appropriately utilize, plan, implement, and evaluate our projects. Here's the breakdown for our assignments. So the assignments in and of itself are the written large assignments would be 60%. Our discussion board, again, 15%. Our evidence presentation, which is our presentation at the end of the course, 15%. And these are the Sigma Theta Tau modules that Mary was talking about we should be able to troubleshoot and find out what's going on with them. David was able to do one, and Ms. Jimenez will look into the, I guess, the delay or the issue that we had. Now, I don't know if it was because we were out of the semester. I don't think so, because ATI isn't necessarily synced with our Canvas and our semester, but it is odd that Mary was not able to do her assignments. But we will look into it. Of course, our grade distribution as we have. We don't have anything that's going to be significantly different from what we've done the last semester. So the assignments, the writing, the discussion boards will all have the same pattern. And as you guys got really good into the rhythm of doing your assignments and whatnot, we'll try to open them up earlier. The one that we do want to caution you guys about doing earlier is the written assignment, because there's a bigger bulk and a bigger section you can kind of take off, but we want to give you feedback on the written part so that you're kind of addressing them as you're going along. It'll make it easier. I know some of you guys may work a little faster than we can in getting the information back to you, but that should be on your mind. Just remind us, shoot us an email, or I will usually honestly answer text messages a little quicker than emails. But if you've got questions, you really want feedback so you can start on the next section, shoot us a message and say, you know what, can you, I'm kind of waiting to move on my written assignment. If you could give us a little feedback sooner, we'll go ahead and respond to your text messages a little quicker. Here is our course calendar. So this week we'll have just one discussion board due tomorrow, and it's easy enough discussion board just to get you guys a little warmed up. And our objectives for this, and we're going to go over chapter 9. It's a general evaluation or summary of what our objectives are when we're establishing a project and an evidence-based culture in our facilities. So we'll be going over that, and then we'll have our readings there. We continue to next week. The Sigma Theta Tau that David was working on is due next week, so I'm glad he's working ahead, and a discussion board. And then the first part of our evidence-based table, we'll start working on that. And that's basically going to be filling in of a table chart where you're putting the different sections so you can evaluate them rather quickly. We'll go through that. Ms. Jimenez, were you still planning on having a presentation for them next week? You're on mute.
We do need to schedule a geriatric presentation. I was thinking next Wednesday. How is next Wednesday for everybody? Around 6 o'clock. It shouldn't take more than an hour or two. Just a short and a little. We can talk about the end of course presentations that you are going to do in gerontology, and then we'll do a short lecture. But we do need to have something documented for gerontology. So let's plan to meet next Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Today, how long do you expect they'll be here today? What time is it, 6:30? Because today, for the most part, you're gonna lecture, right?
It's just going with the chapter. I think it's like 20 slides, and I usually go off script, so it shouldn't take very long.
Okay.
They want to say, I follow and I read, like they want to hear my wonderful voice making stuff up as we go along.
So let's plan to meet next Wednesday at 6. If anybody has any issues, please send me a message.
You're going to record it though, right, Melissa? We're recording
Yes,
this.
I'll record it. Yes.
So in case you
But I
can't
don't want to be talking to myself either. So.
I know, that's what they say. We're going to record it. That means, boom, everybody logs off. Didn't make it. I'll see you later. But, except for Mary. Mary's going to be there, I'm sure. So we're going to record this one and we'll post it to the website. And then next week we'll plan it. And I'll get you guys a good example of what an evidence table looks like, just to make sure that we kind of know what we're going through in regards to working on our assignments. So for right now, the initial stages are not breaking down your articles. It's just getting them together, being able to identify them, which you've done a little bit last semester. So it's not a huge task. All right. So this course ends in, remember, it's an 8-week course. So we are finishing the week before spring break. So it'll be easy peasy. We do not plan to give you any work or anything to work on unless you personally want to get ahead, Mary, for spring break. But those of you that are going to the beach and want to hang out, then you still will be able to do that without any care in the world, right? We do want you guys to sign our syllabus. This is for 4433, 2021. You can print it, sign it, and send it back. I wish we had the ability to get the Adobe signatures on these. That would be a lot easier for us. Some of you guys would probably have to have Adobe.
We can do it. We can get it formatted to a PDF. I know that they did that for us we did that for you all last semester. You remember, you just signed the last page, so we'll work on it.
Okay, we'll get on that for tomorrow, and then we'll get it back to you guys. So if you already signed it and sent it back, then don't worry about it. I know some of you guys got ahead, but if not, we'll get you a PDF. So all you have to do is click on it. You don't have to scan, you don't have to print, and it'll do a timestamp electronically, send it back to us for most of the form. We should be doing that to make it easier for you guys. All right, that's it for my syllabi. Marisa, you want to do the other course?
Yes, let me do that now.
There you go.
Okay, so you know how Mr. Santos talks about A priority versus B priority courses? Well, gerontology, I mean, just because the 4 concepts that are, you know, important and drive our program are research and evidence-based practice, informatics, leadership, community research, and because we have, you know, 2 research, the research course is going to be your A priority, meaning that's where the majority or the bulk of your coursework is going to come from. Now, gerontology is still an important course, but as you can see, most of the assignments are, actually the last assignment that you all are going to do, the presentations, are group assignments. So you're going to actually partner up with one other person, and you all will choose a topic to present on. And so you'll do a written paper.
Are you showing the syllabi? I can't see it. Can you all see the syllabi? Nancy?
No, I was just talking.
Oh, because you said, as you can see, and Nancy was like, yeah, whatever, I can see. I don't really care. I was like, what is,
Wait.
am I missing?
Okay, wait, hold on. Now can you see my screen?
Yeah, now I was like,
Okay. Can you all see my screen?
yes, now we can see it.
Okay, right. So this is my syllabus. And this is the gerontological course. The book that we're using is the Gerontological Nursing. It's the 9th edition. Remember that you do need an APA, actually yes, because you will be writing a paper at the end. And this paper is going to be written between the 2 of you. So we want to make sure that it is a cohesive, you know, message and presentation that you all are giving. So you'll have to work with your partner. And this, you know, this is a teamwork project. So you all will choose the topic, and I have 4 topics that you all can choose from that you and your partner want to present on. And you can choose your partner, and in the discussion board, let me know who your partner is and what your topic is, and it'll be on a first come, first served basis. So if you look under discussions, I believe it's already posted. So it says here, group presentations. And so here you will list your group members and the topic. And you can, if you go to modules and you go, it's actually due week 7, geriatric presentation or geriatric paper. These are the 4 topics. So you and your partner can choose one and post it on the discussion board. Okay. And so this is the major paper and major presentation that will be due at the end of the 8 weeks. But the paper will need to be written in APA format. So you will be using APA for this course. And the student learning outcomes for this gerontological nursing course is plan nursing care by collaborating and communicating with communities of interest for the care of older adults. Remember, this SLO is collaborating and coordinating care. The second one is composing teaching plans that focus on the needs of older adults. Again, composing teaching plans is our goal. Choose leadership and advocacy when providing nursing care for the older adults. Again, leadership and advocacy when caring for older adults. Evaluating cost effectiveness of comprehensive nursing care, again, in relationship to older adults. Explain nursing care outcomes and responses to therapeutic interventions using published research as a basis for decision-making when providing care for older adults. Assessing the healthcare needs of older adults using a variety of informatics systems. And then comparing comprehensive solutions to actual and potential unsafe practices for older adults by incorporating management and leadership skills. And so those are your 7 student learning outcomes. This is what your course grade will consist of. You will have 2 discussion boards worth 20%. You will have 2 case studies worth 10%. You will have 2 quizzes worth 30%. And the format for the quizzes are going to be very similar to the format for the quizzes that you've already had. And then you'll have a geriatric interview and final reflection paper. And actually, I don't think we did the interview. I think we ended up just doing the paper and the, I may need to correct that. We just ended up doing the paper and the presentation because they did an interview in their health assessment course, if I'm not mistaken, right, Mr. Santos?
They did an interview where?
In the health assessment course?
Yes.
Okay, so this actually will just be the presentation and the paper, and it's still worth 40%, but you will work with a partner for that, okay? And so I'll change that. This is what your course schedule looks like. Again, it's pretty, I try to give you just something once a week because I know the bulk of the work is going to come from the research class. So this week you will have a discussion board. Next week you actually don't have anything scheduled. The week after that you have a case study, and these are actually already posted. Week 4 you have a case study. Week 5 is your first quiz. Week 6 is your second discussion board. And then week 7 is when you will present. Okay, so you'll do your presentation and your paper will be due this week as well, your written paper. And then your last quiz. So this course is I think relatively easy.
Easy peasy.
And light compared to your research course.
You know?
So when you go to your modules, we can briefly go over the paper. So you will have a written paper. This is the geriatric paper, and it's going to be written in APA format, and you'll choose a topic. It says the written report is to include the significance of the issue. You know, how important is it to the older adult? If we're talking about life expectancy and health status, but we know that our geriatric population is living older, you know, with more chronic health, but they're living longer, and they're managing their chronic health better. So, you know, the significance of that, what is the current trends and interventions that can be utilized by the nurse to address specific needs, and how we can assist them with the transitions. So it's life expectancy and health status, marital status and living arrangements. You know, are they married? Are they widowed? Are they living with their children? What is the trend right now is what you're going to report. And then how do we help them transition with those changes? We have education, income, and employment. You know, they're living longer, they're living, you know, better quality of life because of science and technology. Are they working longer? Do they retire at a later age? You know, those are the things that you're going to address here. And then health insurance and Medicare. The last group will present on that. And so what is, you know, the health insurance, I guess, trend for the older adults? And if, you know, tell us about Medicare. And how are they able to, if they're able to, you know, what's it called, afford all their medications and all their, what is it, treatment that they need, right? So those are the 4 topics. And so you have a geriatric paper, which is a written paper. And like we said, we do want it written in one cohesive, you know, in one voice. And then the last part will be the presentation. Is it this one? No, that's the paper criteria. This is the presentation. So again, each group will choose one area listed below related to the older adult population. This report is to include, again, the same thing, but you'll present it using a PowerPoint format. And again, just give us bullets and tell us more about the project. Right?
Now, do you have a template for them for the presentation, Marisa?
I do.
I think I don't remember we had one.
I believe I do. Hold on, let me check. If not, I will. This is the written criteria. I'll post it for you. Let me write that down. So I'll post the template for you all. But that's pretty much it for the gerontology course. Okay, let me stop my share. Do you have any questions?
Man, I like this group. I think right now it may be just a matter of I don't know what to ask yet, but as we said, we do want to meet with you guys routinely. We've tried last semester. Reach out to us. It may be just to know, like, hey, how's it going? You having trouble scheduling? Oh, a shot. I mean, give us a message. Give us a shout to say, hey, Mr. Santos, I'm drowning. Something came up at work. I know this were the last parts of the last semester. Mary and Mo were being beaten over the head with the requirements at work and whatnot. Even see Mo lost some of his hair from that beating. But let us know. Absolutely. This is not the type of program that we want to leave you behind and all these type of things. If you're having trouble keeping up, the best thing is to shout out for a voice of help, extend a hand. We're here for that. We're here for critique. If you guys need a little bit more direction and pointers and whatnot, that's what the class is for. Now, growth as it is for working out, and I should be the last person talking about working out, but it's a painful process. It hurts a little bit. We need to kind of grow in our writing and our perspective and the things that we're doing. And Ms. Jimenez and I are here to show you how to do some of those things. And the message is yours. The project is yours. The effort is all yours. We want to make sure that you guys feel like there's some growth. And growth, of course, means that there may be some growing pains there, from writing to organizing to setting time aside to learn narratives and communication and terminologies that we have now with our professional careers, our academic careers and things of that sort. So please let us know. I'm more than willing to meet with you guys. We'll set up a time for Zoom. We can Zoom with some of your assignments, some of the things that you guys are thinking about, especially when we start tackling the articles that you're going to do once you do your literature search. So the first part will be maybe a repeat of what we did last semester. We only did one article or so where we find for my class our process by which we're going to search, but now we're going to find 5 to 7 articles to support our project. So we need to have a singular focus on that assignment. What is the intervention? What is the problem? Who is the population? And so we need to find as many research articles based on that criterion. So the first one's going to be establishing the criterion and how you're going to search for it. The next one is documenting your search and what went well and what didn't go well. And the last one's going to be putting those in the table so you can get those organized. And the last is summarizing and getting a synopsis of all the articles to have one thought and how it's going to support your project. You may find, honestly, that your project is going to change. Your intervention may change. Maybe how you evaluate may change based on your research. And remember, we are not doing a PhD program. We're interpreting evidence-based practice. So if you find more articles that kind of point a little direction away from your project, that it may be easier for you to document and set up a project. That's what we want to communicate, Ms. Jimenez and I, with you guys and your project. So please keep those things in mind. Now, I do have this guy. So can you see this? So if you have a article already from the last semester, 1 or 2, you chose one, and you plan on putting them into your project as part of your evidence, you can already download this. This is on our Canvas course. This is how this writing here is just an example. But if we look at the top, I guess, column titles, this is what we're going to fill up each article. Each row coming down is an article, and we should have about 5 to 7 articles. Less than that, maybe give us too few evidence-based articles. More than that, maybe a little bit more than we can kind of manage in one initial paper. And so what we want to do is condense information into these headings and these columns so we can kind of identify the purpose of the study, each one quickly. We'll have our citations quickly. You can go through the study findings. And so at the end, you have a summary of whether they support, don't, whether they improve what you believe, whether they are contradictory to what you believe. And so if you have those articles, I would ask you, if you want to, you can get ahead and put those in there. And then you can kind of see how you're breaking it down. So part of it's going to be read your article, be familiar with it, break it down into these different columns and put it on this table so that when you start writing your literature review, you can look and say, the purpose of my 5 articles predominantly revolved around improving vaccination. The conceptual framework was varied. Some of them were the health belief model, etc. And so as you fill out these articles, information on these columns, you'll find that there's a general theme, and it makes it a lot easier to write a literature review. Now, what we are going to tell you is that regardless of the, I'm having a little trouble managing my screen here. Okay, I'm going to stop share. Regardless of the project, we should be able to do this. And we will tell you honestly, for you to get really good at this, you probably need to do about 5 literature reviews. Doing 5 of these, you're going to get better every single time. We're only doing 1. But the knowledge and the growth from you all comes in knowing what each one of these components or these processes entails. So we do ask you to dive in head first, especially, honestly, as easy as it sounds, on your literature search. Choose your databases correctly. Choose your delimiters, the time frame, the topics, the subjects, or whatever. And even if you have to do it, it's very easy. You're going to type it in, you're going to get research, and you're going to kind of go through the process. But this is where it's going to make it easier for you the next time you do it. If you do a good search, you're going to get really good results. So those of you that already have an article, the mostly show me by a show of hands, how many of you guys already have an article you think you're going to use in your project? So you have an article, you should be able to conduct a literature search, and that article should pop up on your literature search as one of the top articles on there. Maybe, you get, 50 articles, your article that you already have, if it's part of your project, should be at the top of your findings. If it's not, it may suggest that your literature search probably may not have been as focused, or some of the parameters may have been off. Okay, so we have to kind of consider that. Those things are things that we want to get really good at. The writing, again, we'll work on the writing, we'll work on synthesizing information, coming up with one singular idea. And those are things take a little bit of practice. That's what Missy Manis and I are here for, to critique, to suggest, to do these things. But the work, or the bulk, or the energy should be dispersed or spent on doing the literature search, comprising your evidence table. It's not difficult, you just break it down, but by doing that and spending a good amount of time in that, you become very familiar with your topic, very familiar with your studies. And when you guys hear people discussing, in this study, so-and-so suggested that Hispanics have a profound like for healthcare provider suggestion for vaccination, they have a good understanding of what a healthcare provider home is, things of that sort. So you get all that from your articles. And so spending the time in the search, spending your time in breaking down your articles makes your writing immensely much more smooth and easier for you guys to be able to write down and put on paper. Okay, so I would ask you to try and put your article, the one that you have, already in that table, and you can kind of see what you're going to be dealing with when you find 4, 5, or 6 other articles. All right. Does anyone have any questions regarding what our projects are going to be in the research course? Those are the major assignments. You may have a discussion board, you may have these things. We won't have quizzes in my course. We've got so much more to do, but it'll be first establish your search, conduct your search, populate your evidence-based table, and write a literature review. Now, if you want to get also ideas, it's good to read literature reviews. If you have an article that has a literature review of the literature, read it, and then you'll be able to see how they move through the body of the evidence, and they'll discuss, these articles discuss this, moving on to another subject, these other articles discuss this. Not every article discusses every aspect of your project or every concept, but you should have general or similar, findings, if you would. Other things that you can do is maybe have a synopsis table, and I'll get you some examples. I have to look through my own work to show you, but those things are be extra, just in case you want to kind of synthesize information. And for some of us, for me, it's easier for me to kind of write all these out so I have a visual perspective. And so when I write, I can kind of glance and write these in there. And afterwards, I would kind of cite my authors, make sure that we do it appropriately, things of that sort. But the general ideas are what we need to put together. Okay. Oh, we've got a bunch of messages. Hold on. Let me try to catch up on the text messages. Syllabus, presentation, okay. How many clinical hours will be given for the Nurse Talks Empowerment Series? So it's going to be 1 hour of attendance, right?
One for the writing. If they do a self-reflection.
If you give us a one-page synopsis on the writing and what kind of your interpretation of that, we'll give you 2 hours of writing for that. So it'll be 2 hours for every Nurse Talk. So I would attend the Nurse Talks on a regular basis. Give us a synopsis of what you learn, how you're going to implement, or how remember, we're all professionals now, so you may feel like maybe there's not as much value, or maybe you've got an opposing view, which is okay. I mean, if you discuss and have a good argumentative approach and rationale, that's great. But I will tell you, as I'm finding out now with our COVID vaccinations, when I ask professionals, not the lay person, I'll ask a professional, and I'll be like, well, are you going to get vaccinated, or are you not going to get vaccinated? And professionals will tell me, no, I'm going to do my own research and find out. And I'm like, well, I don't see any petri dishes and vented hoods and microscopes in your house, so I don't know what research you're doing, but I guess if you're going to, that's perfectly okay. So always having a valid perspective is fine. Having the evidence to back that up is okay. Remember, for some of you guys, no more generalizations. We need to have proof for the things that come out of our mouth, or we'll be impeached. All right. So make sure that we've got some issues with evidence, and evidence could be anything, you know, anything that has professional standard, that has professional academic criteria for it. I mean, we're professionals, and you guys choose and adhere to either, you know, emergency medicine or internal medicine or emergent medicine, things of that sort. That's okay as long as we have valid proof and evidence-based research to cite. All right. Yes, we will set up appointments for individual Zooms, 2 hours for nurse talks. All right. Mr. Molina wants to thank you personally, Ms. Jimenez. I don't know what you did, but you are welcome, Mr. Molina.
I answered him. I had already answered those.
Oh, all right. Anyone else? Questions about the courses, the assignments, and whatnot? So remember, Edward, I know Edward just popped in. I know you guys are running your hectic schedule. We absolutely know. Reach out to us. Don't be out there on your umbilical cord of just hanging out in space, people. Let us know, especially with these written assignments. As Ms. Jimenez said, her class is a B priority. You still got to get the assignments done. The ATIs have to get done. And if you move ahead, just like Mary and David were trying to do, that's fine. That's not an issue for us. But the writings is something that we want to kind of keep tabs on, make sure we keep up with our writings, give us a shout out, make sure that we know where you're at and the things that, you know, you're dealing with. We do want to know. We realize you guys are frontliners. You guys are super busy. So please keep us in the loop in regards to your progress or any stressors that you may have. If you need money, I can't help you. I'm just as broke as you guys. But I heard some of you guys are making $200 an hour. What the? I'm in the wrong profession. Anything else, Marisa, you want to throw off the top? Anything? So we do want you guys to attend our February 16th meeting with our creditors. We will have some volunteer time, and right now at this point it's volunteer. You go as professionals, and remember that anytime that you're out to volunteer, even if it's the general community in your own activities, you will be held to a professional standard. So please keep that in mind in regards to safety. So Edward, I don't know if you knew we've been able to have a couple of vaccine drives to help out the elderly communities. We're having one on Friday with EMS. And so your time, if you could contribute, would be given credit for clinical hours. If you can do a few hours, that's great. If you can't, that's okay too. These are voluntary. For February 16th, you earn clinical hours. No, but you earn a degree. You know, degrees are pretty good. So we shall see. What else, Marisa? Anything else you want to remind them of?
Not that I can think of at this point. I have that. We're going to put up the template for the gerontology course, the syllabi. We're going to send you the PDF so you all can just sign the syllabi acknowledgement.
No, Edward said his, and you're okay, Edward. We're going to resend the
Yeah. If you already sent it, don't worry about it.
Yeah, if you already sent it, don't worry about it. Those of you that haven't, don't feel like you have to scan or whatever. We're going to change it to a PDF where you just have to timestamp it. I do have problems for those of you that have a Mac. Whenever they send me timestamps like that, I have a problem with my Mac, so I have to do it on a PC. So I will suggest to get it done on a PC if possible. Let me see here. What else? I'm trying to look at. What else? Okay, I think that's about it. Marisa, I'm going to do the chapter 9 lecture, just kind of general, and we'll move on from there. After that, if you guys have any questions, we'll be all done. Shouldn't take us more than about another 30 minutes, and we'll be all set. We appreciate you guys tuning in for the first day of class. We will have a meeting next week, and we will record that one also. And then by next week, I should be able to get you some of my personal, not that you want to follow them, I won't tell you what grades I got, but I'll tell you what to do and what not to do based on my previous assignments. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. All right, let me get to my screen. Hold on. All right. Can y'all see that? Yes? All right, good.
Yes.
So this chapter is a continuation of what we had done the first half in a research 1. And so this is just kind of a synopsis of the things that we're going to implement for this class. So as we know, in the evidence-based practice environment, according to our evidence-based environmental model, we want to create a vision for evidence-based practice. Us as leaders, as scholars, and scholars are people that dedicate a good amount to reading, research, to looking up new model ideas and things of this sort, and want to have a good idea of what's coming down the road. Now, things may take a divert to the left immediately as we did with COVID and diagnosis and treatments and things of that sort. And the evidence is still presenting, but we definitely want to find the most clear, straightforward majority of credible evidence and use that in our practice. By now we should know, and as you guys may find out in this semester as you're touching base with some of your team members, that we need to engage people for as much as we are. And I consider myself a doer. I'm not really a thinker, as much of you guys may have thought that out. I am not really a thinker. I'm like, okay, what are we doing? What do we get done? Tell me what the tasks need to get done. And so we need to be able to be effective. We need to be able to engage people around us. David can have a great idea for the emergency room, but if he's not able to engage the other nurses on his shift, the charge nurse, the physician and whatnot, David's going to be basically trading water, not getting much done. So engaging personnel around us and multidisciplinary leadership now is where most of our healthcare community and business communities are saying that the future is, and our effectiveness lies in multidisciplinary practices and leadership models. Another thing that's very important is once we have some personnel, resources, and some support, we need to nourish that culture. If you notice with a lot of things, I don't know if you guys can give me some examples. Those are at the hospital, most of you are at the hospital. You can see for one thing comes up that's novel, a new procedure, a new process, a new form, or I don't even if they have forms anymore. You guys are all electronic, I think. But there's a new idea to come up and there's a lot of general energy and support for it. And then without follow-up, without having measures to have champions for this process, it may fizzle out in the long run. You may see it in a month or 2, 3 months or so. People say, we implemented this new, I don't know, evaluation, and people just kind of stopped doing it. Have you all seen that with anything new that they've tried at the hospital where it just kind of fizzled out? Mo, Mary, you probably may speak to something like that. All right, great. So everything at the hospital always works out. I like it. Tell me which hospital that is. So these are the type of things we want to nourish our culture. We want to engage people that are interested, people that come up to us as mentees, and they ask us for advice and direction in regards to how we come up with projects, how we'll come up with ideas, things of that sort. And that's what we mean by integrate evidence-based practice and nourish culture with people around us, be role models for other people. In essence, be the evidence-based practice leader that you would like to have. You want to have a great leader with all this knowledge and evidence-based practice. We should model that behavior to be a good team member. And of course, on a regular basis, we want to evaluate evidence. We want to do a new evaluation. So with our projects, you may have done an initial search last semester. We'll do another and a little bit more deeply sought after literature search. And then in essence, what we want to do is maybe at a period of time that you would deem appropriate, 6 months to a year later, you would want to reevaluate your literature search and what evidence is out there. You may find that only 2 to 3 articles may have been reprinted or different studies may have been printed from the last time you did a search, but that's what we mean by keeping up to date or abreast of that type of information. So why does an evidence-based practice environment, why is it necessary to our practice now as leaders and nurses and providers? It promotes excellence in our practices, in our practice endeavors, in our patient outcomes. We will see that there's a much more improved process because we have tried and true, believed and researched interventions that show us evidence of effectiveness. Once again, the triple aim for National Strategy of Quality Improvement is to have better care, healthy people with healthy communities, and affordable care. Now, a lot of these now at this process in our pandemic seem like they may have gone out the window. We'll see that cost for admitting patients and clearing their either insurance or their financial status in regards to being admitted for COVID, being tested for COVID, being treated for COVID without being admitted has pretty much gone by the wayside. Insurances are covering a lot of things. And who knows what's going to happen after everything kind of dies down, whenever that may be, and insurances reevaluate their clearance for financial reimbursement for providers. But at this point, I know that a lot of things have been removed, even just with telemedicine. There were a lot of telemedicine was prior to COVID. For a year or two, they had been preaching the benefits of telemedicine, but they had a lot of barriers and constraints in regards to insurance and qualifications and whatnot. But as soon as we got a COVID pandemic, a lot of the barriers, I believe somewhere around April of this last year, were removed from my practice and other practices to where, and with that, there has to be a caution, because if we remove all the barriers and the safeguards, some of the quality measures may be removed also. And so we've got a lot of practices that may or may not be doing best evidence-based care, especially in the rush to provide care, in the rush to provide the services that are highly sought after. So in regards to our evidence-based practice vision, we want to make sure that we've got certain objectives and strategies to follow. And I'll go through them quickly, and you can read them at your leisure. We want to develop a mental framework. What we want to accomplish, we want to have a goal, something that is has a path for us and not kind of aimlessly wander, meander through processes and things of this sort. So I know, like with Mary and Mo, you need to have, okay, this is the objective, this is the goal, what's the clearest path, what do we have that's been done to get us there? I know in education, we need to have objectives, as we just kind of went over our objectives for the course. These are the things that are going to tell us, these are the outcomes that we need to have our students do. And that's all part of a plan and a general path, a road, if you will, to get us to a successful completion or accomplishment of our goals. Establish a motivating image for change. And this image for change, more so in healthcare, revolves around better patient outcomes. It revolves around better care, better quality care, and of course, the term is limited cost. And so this is the vision that we have for all our healthcare: less hospitalizations, less needless procedures and examinations, more effective examinations that tell us exactly what we're dealing with in regards to COVID. That may be quite evident, but those things existed for MRIs, for CTs, for surgical procedures, things of this sort. So they've always had these kind of measures. Just the path to get there has been quite difficult. Most of the time we will tell you to have short-term attainable goals that build up to a longer goal. So if you have short successes, interim successes, you will have a better population, better morale, better support for the things you're trying to accomplish. If you have one major goal, which is the curing of cancer, and you have nothing in between as a viable goal or parameter that you set, you may see that your team, the environment gets a little overwhelmed, a little frustrated, or maybe a little defeated, and those things make it very difficult for us to continue our process. And we have to remember that most of the things that we are attempting to achieve in healthcare are going to be long-term goals. Say diet. I know that JL's topic is diet. How hard, now just to be on JL's side, my diet and exercise starts in the new year. Fortunately for me, my new year starts after the Super Bowl. So, I have to give myself some measures. I didn't enjoy the new year like everybody else did, so I'll enjoy it after the Super Bowl. So those things, small short-term goals. So today I did not eat my weight in calories. So that's a goal. So right there, I must give myself a gift of a double meat cheeseburger tonight for accomplishing that goal. Another thing, gain administrative support. So some of you guys may or may not be in cahoots with administration, maybe part of administration, whatnot. And for as much as you may feel like maybe they don't have the same objective or goals, it is very important to get a administrative leadership support for your project, for the endeavors that you have, for the ideas. Even if it's just to sound off someone, it goes a long ways to have someone that's going to hear you out, maybe give you an opposing opinion, but to know that you're working for a goal for that institution is very, very important, or for the betterment of patient outcomes. Leadership is also very important. You guys are being educated and trained. And you're already leaders. You're already leaders in your community, in your profession. But now we want to establish a set leadership with key personnel, with people that value your opinion, that value your education, that value the way you put ideas together and the way you do certain things. And so you may already be as we call the informal leader on the floor. You may be the designated leader by being the director of a department or the charge nurse. But we'll see that there's different types of leadership, and people gravitate to different types depending on the situation. We always, always, always want to defer to our experts. We want to say, I'm not the expert in this field. I can get someone to help. I would tell you from my own personal healthcare practice, I see, earaches and cotton balls and tongue depressors in my practice. So if someone comes in with something that is very, very different or difficult to diagnose, or maybe something more critical, I would automatically reach out to someone that's a little bit more of an expert. I'll call my ER nurse friends. I will call someone that's internal medicine. We would even, with a practice that we have with our pediatrician, she calls and she has us speak to professionals from the specialties either at Santa Rosa or in Corpus or in the Valley, because they are the experts. And so we will defer to them. So we have to know that we have to know what our playing field is. We have to know what we're comfortable with, and not go beyond those parameters. And it's very important to identify the experts in our field. And it may not even be in medicine. For those of you guys that are doing geriatric care, it may be someone in the community that is experienced with the general social beliefs and norms in your geriatric population. Even though we are experts in geriatric care, we may not have that insight into our communities. So we'll skip through this question. It was false, in case you guys want to know. Common barriers. So here's a lot of issues where nurses say, you know what, this is why I don't. And one of those things that I'll be the first one to say, you say, it seems so difficult and so convoluted, a complex a process for me to get research and look it up and discuss it with other people and find out whether they're doing the same or not. Because a lot of times the culture, the mentality, and the motivation to do these things is not in everyone's number one, or the front of their burners on their stove. Maybe in the back, they may be interested. They may say, well, that'd be something I'd like to be interested in, but I just can't find the time, or I can't see myself doing that. And I'll give you an example when it comes to politics and being active in the Texas Nurses Association and being abreast or in communication with what's happening in legislature for nursing and healthcare and billing. It absolutely speaks to my practice, how we get reimbursed as nurses or mid-level providers, what things we can do as nurses and advanced practice nurses. But if you ask me how many things I had read over the last 5 years before COVID, what I had read and hadn't read, I could tell you it was a handful of articles that I had read on reimbursement and things of that sort. So, having an inadequate knowledge of the things that I needed to do is my own fault. I just hadn't had the motivation or the movement to do so. And that is a large, large barrier to overcome for busy working nurses, as it is now for you guys to come to school or to volunteer. For as much as we all want to do something for our community, in the constraints that we have with time and energy and other commitments and family, I could see where that would be a major, major obstacle. Also, what else do we believe about evidence-based practice? Are actually believing the things that we're reading? Do we believe that science-based articles that have been proven over time are of value to us? Do we have a belief in that? And I always tell my nurses, everybody's like, Mr. Santos, what do you think about the vaccine? What do you think about these things? And I'm like, well, I didn't do the research myself. I base my decisions based on what the evidence they present to us. And, I cannot work at McDonald's if I don't believe in cheeseburgers. Like I shouldn't work there. I shouldn't be working the grill. I shouldn't be making Big Macs if, I'm a vegan. It's just, it's irrational. So we have to kind of come to grips with what our belief on evidence-based practices. One thing where we kind of weak is our evidence-based practice mentors. Ms. Jimenez and I, as you guys would surmise or guess at, we want to be mentors to you guys. We want to, but our experiences and our own evidence-based practice endeavors are going to run to a gamut to where we've experienced. At some point, you guys are going to surpass us if you're active and you're doing these things. And so we would hope to be a good mentor to you guys, but you may have to move past our local nurse leaders and other providers to say, well, maybe I need to look at something else. And this is where the national organizations really, really help. TNA, ANA, things of that sort, the emergency nurses, things of that sort would definitely help. Economic restrictions. How many, honestly, if it wasn't for work or school, would have access to all these research articles? I wouldn't have access to any of this stuff if I wasn't an instructor at LC. I don't have the Canvas access. I don't buy subscriptions to a national database. So it would be very different. And those things are expensive. Believe me, they are very, very expensive for you to get independently or individually. So I don't want to pay my $15 for Texas Nurses Association, American Nurses Association every month. It's driving me crazy, but I log in every now and then and make sure we get on the Nurse Talks and try to read some of these things that are making a significant influence in our practice. So economic restrictions, of course, for nurses is a big limiter, especially when you have to join and pay things out of pocket. Other things is lack of leadership, or leadership that doesn't believe in evidence-based practice or feel like it may be something for more academic areas than it is for the active practicing nurse. I mean, how many times do you guys get articles from your leadership on your floors and your departments that says, read this article, this is what we're doing, this is a new step for us? It may happen occasionally, I'm not saying, but you kind of have to reflect on, well, how many times has someone come up to me and say, this is a new practice, this is a new medicine, this is a new procedure we're going to do for these patients that come in with these conditions. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that when I practice, and you're talking about 20 years ago, that anyone ever brought me an article and said, this is the standard now that we're going to do because research indicates it. Again, disagreement amongst clinicians, amongst nurses, amongst mid-levels, amongst physicians, amongst administrators, or well, administrators is not a clinician, but disagreement as to what the beliefs. Right now, how much disagreement do we have, JL and David? How much disagreement do we have about the treatment for COVID positive patients? What are the protocols? Is there one set protocol that everybody follows, or what do we have? What are you dishing out there, David? How are you?
Well, in the beginning, it was all it would always change. Now, I guess everyone's just checking for the D dimer, the cholesterol levels to give them medications just to
Statins,
help.
yes. People are being put on statins now, right?
Yeah.
What about for acute treatment though, like for the actual coronavirus? I know that we've got some antibiotics, hydrochloroquine. I think now steroids and the use of steroids is still kind of debated.
If it's something that's not severe, they'll just give them that BAM and the Regeneron, yeah, and they'll let them go. But if they stay in the hospital, it's the Remdesivir, and they'll try to give the convalescent plasma.
Okay. Well, that's acute care, yes?
Yeah.
But what about in our community? I know that the hospitals are full, and that's what they're kind of doing for our low acuity, I guess, if there's such a thing as low acuity coronavirus infection. But in the community, I know that we've gone from like quercetin to vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc. What else is being given out there? Where I think some of the physicians are giving famotidine for GI, an antibiotic that could range anywhere, I think, from like a Z-Pak to doxycycline to different antibiotics. Some use steroids, some don't. So I mean, there hasn't, even the CDC. I mean, I look at the CDC all the time, and there's not a set protocol for community treatment of COVID positive patients. And even for the pediatric population, I basically do pediatric, and we don't do much unless they're getting symptomatic, and we do symptomatic treatment. We'll do the albuterol if they're needed, or maybe a little bit of a steroid if they've got some kind of bronchitis or bronchiolitis, depending on the child. If they're febrile, we'll do cultures. We'll try to figure out if there's some type of infection. We'll rule out a pneumonia. But, we're still just kind of going on the symptomatic presentation. So though I know that there's a huge difference or variability between physicians and their desired protocol, and it just kind of depends on where you go at the time of the week that you go. Let me see here. So promoting engagement, engage staff and stakeholders in assessing barriers and issues that we have with our evidence-based practice. And what we want to make sure is that, we get good support. We're reaching out to the right people. There's people that people consider leaders, and people reach out to them for a certain reason. So if you can get the support and get those people's assistance behind you, you would go a long ways as to having a more viable program and evidence-based practice culture. Of course, we want to prioritize our clinical issues. Right now, COVID is at the top of our list, and some of the things that were critical back from falls. How have you all done with that, Mary? I know that falls are still up there, but is that secondary to the infectious process, or how are you guys addressing those issues?
Well, we continue with the same. We've been trying to focus on the fall collaborative, but quite honestly, we haven't really seen an increase on some of those COVID patients. We continue to see, the same trend that we were seeing before. So I don't think, that COVID has actually increased our falls. Okay.
And have you guys been spending as much energy on those issues, or do you feel like you're spending a lot more energy on other issues?
Yes, we have. We've been trying to do, we've done a lot of other initiatives, such as the use of floor mats, some beds, low beds that we received. We do have a fall collaborative. As a matter of fact, Mo is the co-chair for that. So even though, yes, I mean, it's chaotic with COVID right now, we continue to focus, on everything else. And actually, falls is one of the ones that we've had a major focus, especially, due to a recent increase in falls with injuries.
So you're with Mo all the time. Don't you get tired of being with Mo?
Yeah, I do. Nah, just kidding, no.
I feel the same way about Ms. Jimenez. She's in business all the time, but all right. So develop experts in the evidence-based practice. And right now we may be at a novice area. I know that you may have some clinical management specialists, some clinical nurse specialists that may have a good knowledge or grasp of these concepts. And you may want to grab onto those people as resource people, and you may want to champion some of their projects to couple with some of yours. And so that way you can kind of get a little bit more direction and guidance when it comes to evidence-based practice and your evolution of evidence-based practice. So our objectives for the lecture. So keep these things in mind as you're going through these processes. I think that's the end of our presentation. So when you're going through these things, remember that as you're developing your project, you're going to want some support. If you have a project that you think that the hospital may benefit from, you may want to share it with them. I know that some of our graduates from last year had a couple of things that they were working on that they shared with administration, and they felt like, oh, you know, we've got somebody kind of working on that. Maybe you can team up with them. And so they found themselves partnering up with people that were already in a position to do those things, but they were able to give a hand, they were able to be led a little bit more, and maybe give them a little bit more experience, and of course something else to add to the resume. And yeah, we're thinking like, who else wants to add more duties to ourselves? But we're nurses and we fill the gap with, yeah, I know, we just do. But it's part of the process, right, of learning and growing. But keep that in mind. That is the venture that we're on for this course and for this program. Those concepts, the barriers, the things we need to kind of clutch and assimilate into our natural inquisitive minds. That's why we're here. That's why everyone's in school. So let's go ahead and keep that in perspective. That's basically all I have. I wanted to cover that chapter and make sure that we kind of refresh some of these things and the things that we're trying to do. I will update as I find my assignments. I'll put them up for you guys so you guys can view them. Please don't critique them. I'm going to make them PDFs.